Hey guys, I'm JanetOnOccasion, and today we are playing Warhammer 40,000 Chaos Gate Daemonhunters. It's quite a mouthful. Also, I lied, we're not playing it today, we're playing it 2 weeks ago. I had a remote session with this game. I played this game remotely, so this footage got sent to me, it was recorded on the machine, across the world. And when I was playing it, obviously, I was just seeing a stream of the game that I was playing, and it was not good. It was not good. The game was good, the stream was not good. It was so muddy, I could barely see a thing, and half the time when I clicked, nothing would happen. So I was really thrilled when I got this footage that you'll be seeing today, that actually the game is gorgeous, and it doesn't look like soup, like I thought it did. So that's nice, that's a good surprise. Though the gameplay, although it was kind of annoying, and I had to click a billion times to make things happen, often, at least, sometimes it would work, I really wanted to play more. I wanted to play more than the demo had to offer. I really wanted to explore more of the game. I was on a time limit, so I really just had to rush through the levels to make sure I could experience it all in time. So I wasn't really pondering my moves all that much. I was running in like a lunatic, which you'll see. Anyone who's played a lot of XCOM will think this is a bit stupid, but actually there's a lot of things that are very different from XCOM, which I think actually really just encourage you to be quite cavalier, which I think is good. We'll get into it when we get into it. But also, the game was running in 1080p, not 2K, which is what this recording is that I'm showing you, is because I'm doing a recording of a recording, and I don't want any more loss of quality as a result of that. So this video you're watching on YouTube is a 2K video, but it's a recording of a 1080p bit of media. I know. It's confusing, but bear that in mind. It's a 1080p. The game was running in 1080p. So there you go. Also, I have to cut off a few bits and blur the odd thing as we play, or I'll skip, big sections where I go off to make a coffee or something. So, there's stuff that it'll be a bit different than the usual gameplay affair as a result of playing remotely. But I want you guys to see the full experience, so I'd rather just sort of be quiet and let you enjoy it than to I guess to cut it down a huge amount. I kind of want you guys to see everything that I was able to record, and everything I'm allowed to show you out of everything else I'm going to record anyway. So this will be 3 different videos I'll be doing. I'll be doing Campaign Mission 1, 2, and the Reaper Battle. The tutorial I played but can't show you, and the finally ... on this bespoke, demo menu that you're seeing. This is literally just a bespoke sort of version of the game to house these missions for the demo. So this isn't a full copy of the game. That finally ... is a cutscene, which I do get to show you, and I'll show you that after the Reaper Battle. It's a doozy. It's a cool one. So yeah, cool. I guess we'll get into it, and we'll see what happens. I don't know how this is going to go. I hate doing voiceover after doing a thing, because I can't explore things at the pace that I'm doing it. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together, guys. Let's do it. So first off, this little sort of screen, this is very much similar to XCOM in the fact that we have these different screens we can go to, which are kind of like the different rooms in the ship in XCOM 2. Almost exactly, actually. Here we're in a room. You can talk to different characters, you can learn about the missions, so there's some story to experience outside of the different battles, which I think is really good. I love the idea of being able to hop into skirmishes and then really just dissect what happened at your leisure, which I think is really nice. I think being able to really go into detail with all the different characters is really nice. Unfortunately, I have to skip this because there are some spoilers. So moving on, we have a barracks. I can't show you the different weapons, unfortunately, but you can see it is very much like XCOM. Apparently this is a work in progress, this bit. In fact, everything is a work in progress. This is an earlier build, but I love how much they have just decided to make things like XCOM. I mean, there's no reason not to. XCOM is the standard for this sort of game, and so to emulate it is just it's just the sort of strategy, tactics patois that people come to expect. And I honestly think it's better than to reinvent the wheel if it's just UI, you may as well keep it familiar. So one thing that is very nice is these valor deeds. So these things you can turn on and off, and they basically create a challenge for every mission you do. So every mission you do, you can add this valor deed, which allows you to get bonuses by basically screwing yourself over during a mission, which I think is a fantastic idea, especially if you're playing through the game a second time or something, and you want to really just maximize the resources you can get as rewards for every mission, but also, you know, to make things a bit more difficult for yourself, which I think is really fun. I think it's really great. Also, you can select a stratagem, so this is another modifier that you can bring along to each combat, basically, you know, to each skirmish, which I think is really interesting. And by the looks of it, you can unlock additional slots, so you can bring more than one at a time, and it looks like you can unlock a bunch of different stratagems. How we unlock those, I don't know, whether it'll be story-focused, and I honestly don't know if the missions are purely story-focused missions, or if it is a bit more like XCOM, where you've got the randomly generated ones that you go on, and then every now and then you get a main objective or a main campaign mission to do. I'm not sure the flow of a campaign yet, but if it's just a pure story-focused thing, I'm fine with that. Just a bunch of bespoke missions that I know are going to be well designed, I think is great.
The Ultramarines appear to have been holding this ground until a recent Death Guard assault.
Curious. I would not have expected Nurgle to use direct force to lay the groundwork for the bloom.
Yes, the Plague Lord's methods are generally more indirect. Perhaps this skirmish held some other purpose.
Commander, your brethren must recover one of these seeds from a living host. I have trained your warriors to focus their senses. If they perform a precision strike in hand-to-hand combat, they should be able to locate and extract any seed present within the foe.
So, this was my first time out of the tutorial. I had played the tutorial, but that was very much, you know, click on this glowy bit to go to the glowy bit. It was, you know, very, literally told you everything to do. But the idea of uncovering a map and knowing what to expect was, well, it was fun. So here you've got to find these different seeds, these different bloom seeds that these Nurgle worshippers are carrying. So we are trying to hunt them down. So you can see you can climb up the terrain, but not every character can do that. And I think that's dependent on the armor that you have. The guy with the Force Halberd that I moved first, he's got Terminator armor rather than the normal Space Marine armor, so he can't climb up those surfaces, which I like. I like the fact that you get to make a tactical choice. Do you want to be more tanky, or do you want that maneuverability? And that I think is really good. I think is a lot of fun. And actually that was something that was available in XCOM as well. You had the different sort of grappling hooks and stuff on different armors. So I think embracing that sort of thing in tactics games like this, you know, sort of these persistent squad-based things are fantastic, being able to make those choices. Also, you can see there is an armor system.
There must be one here somewhere.
So, uncovering a pod of Nurgle cultists. Also, I said armor system, didn't I? I meant cover system. You can see as I'm moving the cursor around, there'll be a shield against different surfaces that will offer some cover. You can go half and full cover, exactly like XCOM. Again, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. So I love that they're just keeping it the same as most games, you know, of this sort. It's absolutely spot on. I love it. This is exactly what I wanted. So, you can see I am also trying to discover the different abilities at the moment, to see what different options I have. And you notice down in the bottom left, I'll actually, you know what, I can point. I made my cursor all big, as you can see, so I can point at things.
Chaos stirs within the shadows.
Oh, uncovering another pod. And so you can see we have down here 3 AP, right? You can see it actually ticks down when you're moving the cursor around, so it gives you a preview of how much you'll have left once you've done the action, which makes things really nice and quick. It also has it on the cursor, saying how many you're going to have when you get there, which is great. There's also, I believe this is his hit points, and next to it is his willpower, or his will. I forget what they call it, willpower or will. But that's really nice. That is basically an extra resource that, along with AP, you can spend on the various things in your tool belt. So certain abilities will cost will, or willpower, I forget which one. And it's just a better thing. It's a better resource these things do more damage, and what is really nice is not only is it for doing special abilities, you can also do sort of specially augmented versions of your different abilities. So rather than just striking someone, you can strike someone but real good at the cost of some willpower. And as far as I can tell, I think later on we'll see some examples of it. It seems that you can get willpower back by killing certain enemies and things. So you are sort of encouraged to use your more special attacks in order to take down sort of better foes, knowing that you can get reimbursed some of the points on those, which I think is nice. I think anything to sort of... it's essentially a resource that you have to manage, but you can... It's not something you just deplete. It's not something that you will just hang on to indefinitely in case you need it later. It's something you're sort of encouraged to spend, but you can't use it literally every move, which I think is the best way to do it, honestly. So here I'm just setting up an Overwatch. You can see it just sets up a little Overwatch cone, and that will use all available AP. So if you don't move at all, and you set up an Overwatch, provided you have the ammunition and the AP, you can shoot a bunch of times. So you can really spend the entire turn setting up a sort of an Overwatch position, and you'll get the best benefit out of it. So again, I kind of like that. You're rewarded for turtling, and you're rewarded by going on the offensive, knowing that if you go half and half, you're just going to kind of split the difference and not necessarily get the best work done, which I quite like. Also, what is nice about this game is the AP can be spent in any order. So that was something that was a bit limiting in XCOM, and it was, worked great for XCOM. But for this, you're Space Marines. So the idea of being very capable, knowing that you can fire a gun and then storm in and stab someone, you can use your AP in any order. Attacking doesn't end your turn. You can even just attack several times in a turn. So you can be as aggressive as you like. But of course, you'll be able to do better. You'll be able to hit people better if you can flank them. So moving means you get a couple of attacks in an advantageous position rather than just trying to shoot into heavy cover and achieving very little over and over again. It still serves you to get into a better position, which I like. I did feel that there was still tactical reasoning to re-maneuver and sort of outmaneuver your enemies. So that's good news. And you can see we are taking an absolute pounding, but we're fine. Like, we've got health. It's good. And this is something that I sort of discovered as I played, and a lot of it was because I wasn't sure whether to play it like XCOM or not, because of course this game is going to be compared to XCOM. I've spent the entire video so far comparing it to XCOM, because that's something that most of you would have played, or at least seen people play, or be familiar with other games that sort of rip off the formula. And so I was thinking to be a lot like XCOM, but actually there's a few things that are really nice. So if you move into range of a pod and you're spotted, you just get all your movement back. So in XCOM, you would move your last character, and if that uncovered a unit, then you've got no turn left, right? But it'll always just reimburse your entire squad your turn, so you can act knowing that you've seen an enemy, which I really like. So the turns are really nice and quick until you see something, and then it goes, okay, and now we're in turn-based mode. Have all your movement back. Which I think is how it should be, because in XCOM 2 especially, it meant you would move one person out, and then you would move all of your troops behind that guy so you wouldn't uncover any enemies. And that was really stupid. Whereas this game, it actually sort of encourages you to move from cover to cover. Whoever uncovers the guy, it's irrelevant. You're always encouraged to go a little bit further, knowing that the guys that you had already moved are good to go. So I really like that. I think that's fantastic. It just really helps. It helps you play tactically the entire way, or just sort of rush in the entire way, knowing that you'll be able to seek cover when you do see an enemy. It means you don't have to play in quite a daft way, as I'm sure you've seen people play XCOM on YouTube, and perhaps you have played in a similar way. So it does really get around that very nicely. So you see, we have taken quite a bit of damage in total. That little red bar on his health bar up here, that's indicating how much damage he'll take if he moves, I believe. It's a little damage preview. This is all very difficult to see at the time, though. But, yeah, here I'm thinking of setting up another Overwatch, because I don't want to move and trigger the enemy's Overwatch from their suppressing fire, you see. At least that's how I was assuming that worked.
Unleash me. Your command.
So still not sure what to do about that guy, because he's sort of fighting 2 Chaos Space Marines, while everyone else is bogged down fighting a bunch of nonsense. So we're using Aegis Shield, so that gives him extra defenses, some extra armor, so hopefully he won't take as much damage if he does get hit. And he is taking a bit of damage from setting up that Overwatch. But not much, you know, he's got a fair bit of health. And we do actually have a character that can heal, but it costs willpower, which again is a nice use of willpower where you're not going to get reimbursed on it because you're just using it to heal your own guys. You're not going to be killing enemies and getting your willpower back from it. So it still encourages you to be aggressive with your sort of medic characters, because you want them to regain more willpower as they can heal more people, which means you can be more aggressive because, you know, you're taking more damage, right? So it encourages you to take more damage in order to be more aggressive, knowing you can get it back, so long as you are aggressive and taking down enemies. So it really puts the impetus on trying to do damage rather than negate damage on your guys, which I think was the problem with XCOM, where everyone was quite flimsy. So the game was always avoid damage. If you could kill things to avoid damage, great, but it was always try and stay safe first and foremost in order to get through an encounter, rather than to aggressively pursue the enemies. I also quite like the little cinematic previews of the enemies' moves and things, just sort of seeing them in action. It gives some extra flavour. So you can see some Plague Marines or something chasing us. I'm saying Plague Marines just because, you know, it's Nurgle and they're Space Marines. I honestly don't know much about the Warhammer 40k rosters, if I'm completely honest, so hey, it's all good. It's Space Marines but stinky, like, you know, what more do you want?
Yes, Commander. Here. What is your will?
So I'm still trying to work out how to best utilise my forces, whether I want to sort of, you know, focus on manoeuvring or just attacking a bunch. It's still kind of up in the air how this game sort of wants to be played. I'm still feeling my way around it quite a lot. And you will see I will be quite erratic with my decision making, purely because I knew I was on a time limit, and honestly, when I get my hands on a game like this for the first time, I tend to not exactly try and make mistakes, but whenever it's a case of this may be a good idea depending on the mechanics, or it might be a bad idea, I always just take the gamble. Because it's better to do that, and then you learn if it's a bad idea for next time. You know if it's something you can rely on. So whenever there's some risky maneuver to be made, I always take the risk, just to see, you know, how the game works. How much I actually learned from, you know, from my time playing this game doing that, I don't know. But I'm sure you'll be able to take some more away from it. And here you can see I'm augmenting that ability to Psybolt, or at least I'm considering it, and that costs willpower to do that. But I decide not to, because at this point I kind of saw it as quite a precious resource that I didn't want to use too often. I was still unsure about how much I want to use it. Here you can see Force Strike as well, that I can augment my my melee attacks with. Oh, and here I got a crit. So I'm actually going to put that back a second. Hang on. So here you can see that because of this thing here, I've got these different options. That means I critted. If you get a crit, you get to choose where to attack, which I adore. I really like this. This is weirdly something that existed in old XCOM, and I guess, you know, inspired by Fallout. You could target different body parts and the like. But here, it's if you get a crit, you get to decide, which I think is a really elegant solution, because it means that if you do get a crit, it means that you're not just doing more damage, you're picking a way to augment the attack in order to gain an advantage of your choosing. So here, I can either stun him for a turn, or I can disable his ranged weapon indefinitely, forcing him to have to run into melee, which, of course, if I'm setting up a bunch of Overwatch traps, then maybe I want him to run out of cover and try and attack us, you know, then he'll just get gunned down out of cover. But because I'm in melee doing this, I'm better just to stun him, and if an enemy is stunned and you're within range, you can execute them, which I believe I do after this. But it's really nice, and it depends on what enemy you're facing. And I think possibly what your character can do, I think possibly, though I'm not entirely sure on that. But I did seem to get a variety of options over the course of the playthrough, and I'm not sure quite what the conditions were for each of the options. But I can't wait to find out, because it was really fun. It made you really feel like you'd got an advantage over your enemy. It was really fun. Oh, and it worked on bosses too. So this guy's been stunned, which I must say, I think the animation for these guys getting back up is a little bit silly, because him just flipping himself back up like that. Oh, there we go. That was an Overwatch. So if you run near melee units, you do get attacks of opportunity, which is another really interesting mechanic to sort of encourage people to be aggressive, because if you run right up to your enemies, if they're trying to run away from you, they're going to get hacked to bits. So you actually gain an advantage by being toe-to-toe with your enemies, especially enemy ranged units that don't want to be in melee. So I really enjoy that. This is something that XCOM just didn't do. XCOM was all about like tactical gunplay. You know, is trying to be more of a, you know, slightly fantastical, obviously, sort of SWAT team sort of mentality, I guess. Whereas this one, nope. Nope, this one, you're Space Marines, goddammit. Go out, smash things, make the Emperor proud, okay? Hack and slash your way through the terrible, nasty Xenos and Chaos Worshippers. Ale, you know? But the gameplay really supports that, which I think is great. Because a lot of games, I think, have tried to do similar, but not really captured what it is to be a Space Marine. It rewards you for your aggression. So here, I'm trying to work out what the hell these nodes are. And so there's a lot of terrain that you can have an impact over, though I found it really difficult to work out exactly how to do that. I'm pretty sure I just need to pick a ranged attack and attack it, right? I just need to pick an attack, which I think is a bit misleading. When you see like a glyph like that, it feels like you should just be able to click it to activate whatever, you know, thing it is that it is allowing you to do. But no, you have to actually pick a ranged attack and then target it, which I think is... it could avoid the additional clicks, honestly. If you could just click on it to check it out, to check out what shooting that would do, I think that'd be better. So here's a cultist. This guy is a... I mean, I guess a spellcaster, if, you know, or whatever the heck you'd call him.
Commander, harvest the seed from that creature's flesh.
So to harvest the seed from that creature's flesh. So one thing, I kind of missed the bit at the start where it said melee them to get the seeds out of them. But I'm not sure the game actually cares. I'm not sure if that voice line is actually important, that it is, you know, get in melee range or whatever. Or if it literally just, the objective just says kill them all. I don't know if it was dumbed down for the demo. Because of course this is a press demo and has to assume everyone's an idiot so they get to the end of it and tell everyone about the game. But I was just shooting everybody because I kind of missed it. It was, again, like I said, it was remotely played. The thing looked like soup, and that threw me at the start a bit. You see, everyone's got swollen flesh, which I'm not actually sure what that is. But they're really going for it. So they caught us out here. They're setting up Overwatches as well, which I really like. They do seem to have some good wherewithal when it comes to trying to pin down your units and take advantage of exposed units. It never felt like they were playing into my hands, except when, like, I don't know, except when I guess through a doorway I would just put a bunch of Overwatches and they would run through the doorway and I could shoot them to bits. But it never felt unnatural. It always felt relevant. They seem to have a relevant amount of intelligence. You know, they didn't do, like, crazy things that made me feel like an idiot. But they also, you know, they would try and take advantage if you did do something stupid, as you can see here, which I rather like. Could be as simple as they attack whatever has the highest chance to hit, and that's all they need to do. But honestly, that's all they need to do. That's all I really expect from this AI, and it acts believably. So here, I am trying to work out what to do here. These guys actually have a bunch of armor, which is what I believe swollen flesh did to them. So you can see those little, you know, 2, 2, and 2. Those are the different armor pieces. They do 2 damage each to destroy, as you have to destroy those before you can start damaging their health. That's how armor works there. So here I am figuring out what to use. I'm going to use a Force Strike, because it has extra crit chance, I believe. And we did indeed crit, so I can choose to do more damage, so I decide to do that. And that kills him. Marvellous. I decide to do some ranged attacks, or at least think about it. Because I would like to shut down that guy's Overwatch. And here I am under the assumption that doing damage to someone who is in Overwatch will cancel their Overwatch. You know, going by all the assumptions that it's just XCOM but Warhammer. Going by XCOM rules until I know better. That's always the plan. So here I'm going to use Cybolt again, so I'm using more of my will in order to do that. You can see the cost down at the bottom, 1 AP, 1 ammo, and then if I click it, it's 1 AP and 1 ammo and 1 willpower. Also, you can get a breakdown of the crit chances and damage, which is really nice. This was actually something that I think got added to XCOM 2 at a later date, or through a mod, I think. Actually, I think it was a mod, and then they added it into the game, because it was such a good idea. So the fact that this game has just gone, oh, you know that thing that everyone wanted? Let's just put that in, shall we? Which I think is great. I love getting a breakdown of stats to see what is actually impacting things, especially when there's a host of different abilities and, I guess, spells and all sorts that can impact how much damage you're going to do and, you know, your crit chance and all the rest of it. But it's nice to see exactly what is impacting it, so you can better negate that in future or, you know, work around it. I think it's really good. I really like it. Really nice to get a breakdown. So as you can tell here, I am very confused as to how to get out of this. I honestly have no idea. Because, I mean, I'm under all the threat, and that one Marine we have is getting very, very hurt. Very hurt indeed. And at this point, I don't think I even realised that one of my guys could heal him. That's how much I was just sort of blitzing through here. Nurgle's got to me, clearly.
Your orders? Your orders.
So you can see we have a bunch of different attacks for melee, which is really nice. So the one on the right there of his toolbar, down here,
Unleash me.
actually uses some willpower, but it's an area of effect around him, which is very, very cool. Sort of like this whirling blade attack. Attacks everyone around him. It's wonderful. A really good way to clear out a bunch of cultists. You know, I think it sort of swarms you. You can just clear them out. And I love that because, you know, because Space Marines, the best way to clear out crowds is just to run in and just slaughter them in hand-to-hand combat, which is so appropriate. Yeah, still considering what to do with him. As always, the bolter is the answer. I know I've just been bragging about, you know, I say bragging. It's not the word. I've just been, you know, going on about how great it is that its melee is great, but if someone's just going to stand there, they're kind of asking to get shot to bits. And you can see there, hang on, let's put it back a bit. Here, I just gained some willpower because he got a kill. And so you can keep replenishing willpower, and of course you're more likely to get a kill if you're using an ability that's using willpower because they're more powerful. So it really encourages you to sort of use those resources when you need to, which I really like. I like that aggressive use of abilities and augmenting things. It's only when you're really comfortable that you can just sort of, you know, use your basic attacks and just sort of whittle down enemies and whatever. But as soon as you need to do anything, just go nuts. Like, use those abilities. The game encourages you to do them, and you can get some really cool effects with it, even if it is just a higher chance of getting that crit. It allows you to really pull off some fun maneuvers, you know, getting those stuns in, disabling weapons, all the rest of it is really fun. So I use the Aegis shield again to try and make sure that he doesn't get killed, and here I'm thinking about what to do, so I'm going to set up a blast area, I think, and warp charge it as well, which has armor break, leaves things vulnerable for a couple of turns. Oh, actually, nope, I decided not to use it, because at this point I'm still wary about using all my willpower. There you go, so I've made them vulnerable, so now if they get hit, they take more damage. Which isn't particularly helpful at this point. Because, you know, I'm a bit hurt. foul sacrament, the warp surge meter rises by 100%. So this is something I never quite worked out what the hell it was. So I've risen by 50%. So the warp surge meter is this thing at the top, though I don't really know what this does. I cannot tell you what it does, but hopefully as we watch this together, I'll go, oh, that's what that does. Because, yeah, I just didn't notice during the demo what it did. And as far as I'm aware, the tutorial didn't tell me, but I could have been distracted by other nonsense going on. But anyway, that is a bit of a mystery. But it does seem to reset, so I'm not really sure. So you're taking a fair bit of damage. Plenty of overwatches. So I was feeling very nervous about all this at this point, because I was relying on the basic attacks, you know? So I had no idea how easily I could just cleave through all these guys. But that's the fun sort of learning experience of getting a hands-on demo like this. I just wish I could have actually read more of it and seen more of what was going on in the miasma of bad video compression. But hey, it's all good. It's all a learning experience. So here, I got the Medicae Servo Skull, which is a nice ranged heal, which is very, very handy. Very handy indeed. So I'm thinking about it. So I believe that has limited ammunition. So I don't think that actually uses willpower, that one, but it has limited ammo.
Unleash me.
So that is one thing to be wary of. So this guy I can easily kill in range. And so I do. But you can see, just taking an action is enough to trigger Overwatch. It doesn't have to be a movement. So just doing any actions within Overwatch will trigger them to attack you, which is definitely good to know. So considering my options here, because I feel anywhere I go, I'm going to be slightly exposed. Which isn't a bad thing, if you can just maximize the killing, you know? Get a lot of killing done, doesn't matter how exposed you are, everyone will be dead. This guy I consider using a psychic onslaught.
Do not test me, Commander. I demand that you obtain a seed.
And so there, she's yelling at me about obtaining seeds, and I was a bit confused about what the heck the objectives were at this point. And I think we probably get like bonus requisition or something if we do it her way, but it's interesting that the game doesn't present us with that objective. Also here, this thing just filled up, remember? And now it's at 0%, so I'm assuming this miasma of frailty is the effect that triggered as a result of this filling up, which I think is really interesting, if that's the case. And obviously I wasn't sure what was going on, honestly, at that point in the demo. And now I actually feel a bit silly for not noticing that stuff while I was playing. But I cannot express how poor the live stream was. I feel like I'm seeing this for the first time. But hey, I'm learning, you're learning, everybody's learning. It's all good. I really want to know what Miasma of Frailty does now. One day, guys, one day. So yeah, think about using a frag grenade, but can't really get a nice hit. Although here, I think I do throw that. I think I do use a frag grenade at some point. Yeah, I decided to start hurting the wizard. And yes, I'm calling him a wizard. And he gets knocked back by it. And now everything's on fire. Well, on fire or stinky. One or the other. But yeah, I have not made it easy to push through this area. And I guess neither have they. You know, they're the ones that made it all stinky. You can see I have this psychic blast attack as well, which causes bleed, which is very fun. Bleed is very good when units are very armoured, because it just seems to ignore armour entirely. So if something is really heavily armoured but has very little health, then yeah, you just put some bleed on it and and wander off, call it a day. Which is rather nice. So, you know, I like any game that sort of has these different sort of temporary hit points, then means to circumvent them. Both for you and your enemies. I like the idea of not being able to rely on them all the time. You know, not rely on sort of armor stacking for every task. I think it's quite cool. So I am looking forward to see how that plays out. You know, going forwards. Because, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of abilities that I have not seen yet. So I am working out what to do here. There's a sanctified kill zone. Sounds fun. So I do a psychic onslaught on this guy. You can see it turns into an area of effect, which is very cool. Or I could just do the normal attack.
Reload required.
Considering doing some more damage. Another Psy Bolt, so I can do some additional damage with it. Extra crit chance. And he's suffering from the bleed as well. So here I can reload. So you do have to be careful about your ammunition. And that's another thing, if you are just going to sit there and just keep firing with quite low odds to hit, you know, just very low damage if the enemy is behind cover, then obviously you have to take into account your ammunition. You can't just keep firing. It is often better just to move into position so you can make those bullets count, so you're not wasting AP on reloading. You see, we are still getting flanked by these guys. Oh, he's doing an overwatch. It's not like we have any interest of going back there, but, you know, that's fine. He's being cautious. You know, Chaos Space Marines are nothing if not cautious. He said, slightly sarcastically. Right, so here, I am trying to work out how to do this ability. So you can actually teleport to enemies, which is pretty cool. So there's a teleport that you can do a melee attack, sort of on an enemy. You can teleport to them, which is really fun. It is something I end up doing quite a lot later on. Something I end up relying on, because it's just such a great way to get around the map. And just you know, hit some guy with a bunch of damage, and it usually saves a bunch of AP, because it's just 1 AP to teleport. So here we go. So this, I'm actually doing a bit... It's a bit silly that I'm actually relying on the ranged attacks for him. But again, I'm playing it a bit like XCOM. I'm trying to keep my guys out of harm's way more than I am trying to kill the enemies. So he knocked him down, but he's still going. But we have one more shot. So there we go. So that's sorted, and he fell into the floor, which is where he belongs. 6 feet under. So I'm trying to find a position where I can attack him without running through the fire. And you can set waypoints, so I did. I'm going to use 4 strikes, I'm going to do additional damage. Go on, do it. Do it, me. Don't you sound like an idiot by not doing the thing I just said we're going to do. See, I'm pondering it. Nicely done. It appears to be stunned, so that's good news. And we actually get a crit on him. You see, because he's stunned, we're able to do an execution. That's exactly what we do. And now we need to set up for this other Space Marine. Gonna reload. And set up our own Overwatch. So another thing I want to talk about actually is the graphics. So the graphics again kind of fit the sort of XCOM vibe as well, because it's not like hyper realistic. It's sort of almost got like a slight like cell shaded vibe to it. It kind of reminds me a bit of something like World of Warcraft or something. Like things are quite bold, which I quite like. It makes the game quite readable, even though there's a lot of character to it. So I'm actually very pleased with how the graphics look. as well. And especially because I couldn't really tell all that well playing the demo, just because the compression was real bad. But seeing the recording, it's a good looking game. I really like it. Because yeah, with tactics games, I don't demand super high fidelity. I just want the atmosphere, and this captures the atmosphere. This feels like a battle-scarred like world in the universe of Warhammer 40k. It feels appropriate. You know, the enemies, they're very readable. And it really does feel sort of like the miniatures come to life, which I think is great. So I think it does meet. It certainly meets my expectations of what I'd want from a game like this. Yeah, trying to shred all of his armor away and cause a bit of bleed. And once again, I'm out of ammunition. So there's only 3 shots. You can see down the bottom. Bottom right has ammunition. If I hadn't shown that already. Or if you hadn't noticed it already. And you'll notice, up here, he has frailty, 1 more turn on that, but this is also quite high. And it seems that every time I use willpower, it puts this up higher, which is another nice risk-reward for this sort of thing. So if you are relying on your bonuses a lot, you know, you get a kill, you get willpower back, but you're also tempting fate with these debuffs, which I hadn't actually noticed before when I was playing. I was just taking it in my stride, but that's another really nice way to balance that. So it's not really so much resource, it's not so much the resource of willpower, but simply the effect it's going to have on everything else. It might get you out of a bind, but if you use it too much getting into a dangerous fight, then you might end up really harming yourself when you get into that fight by letting chaos take hold, which again is super thematic to actually have that be the case. Because yeah, you're a bunch of demon hunting psychers, but of course there's very much using the sort of enemy's powers against them in that situation. And so I like that is sort of reflected in the gameplay mechanics, as well as you know, the theme. I guess it's not just an arbitrary mention of it somewhere. It's it really plays into gameplay, which I think is great. I think that's something that, again, a lot of Warhammer 40k games can often sort of miss. Honestly, I think the gameplay mechanics need to be the things that can sort of tell the story of the sort of the plight that they're experiencing. And yeah, they seem to do it. They seem to do it rather well. So here I have Battlefield and Medicine, so it uses 2 willpower, which is quite a lot. That will actually be, I think, all of the willpower we have. We can't even warp charge the heal, even though it would give us a bunch more health, but we don't have enough willpower to do it, which is a real pity, because we were not getting any more willpower from that guy. So that's all the healing we're going to get. So this is where I realise the last seed carrier is miles away, so I am going to absolutely book it. Because remember, I am on a time limit. I am on a time limit. Not because of the level, but because I'm doing a, you know, remote press preview nonsense thingy. So I have limited time with the game. So I start running. But it's really, you know, I realised it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Bump into enemies, it's fine. And I really like that. So here I've realised, oh, I only had 1 AP on that guy. Oh, so again, here, that, down, okay, and here as well. All of these little things I said you could shoot. You can, if you're using melee on those, it kind of depends on the environmental thing. You know, it's a brazier or a chandelier or whatever. But a lot of the time you can actually direct where you want the environmental damage to occur, I guess. So if you're knocking over a pillar, you can decide which direction the pillar is knocked over. So you can just push a pillar down onto a bunch of enemies, which is really cool. I love the idea of using the map. It means you can sort of go, oh, this room is interesting for an ambush, I'll trigger an enemy pod, retreat to this location, and they'll come in and I'll blow up that, you know, that fish tank, and they'll get covered in seaweed. I'm making that one up, but can you imagine? Space Marine fish tank. Why not, right? Why not? So, here, smash through the door. I love they smash through doors. You know, why would they open a door? And here, this is very 40k. You know, you've got all the big statues.
Yes. Another chance,
All very
Commander.
gothic. And you have all these drop pods littering the place as well from the Ultramarine Assault. Very cool indeed. Of course, Ultramarines, they don't specialise in the demon killing like we do. So it was around here I realised he does have that melee attack that I hadn't used yet. Or if I had used it earlier and I'd missed it, but you know, I didn't use it in as good a position. This is a very good position. So I warp charge it for maximum efficacy, and here we go.
Commander, your duty is to extract the seeds, not destroy
6
them.
enemies
That's
dead.
all the seeds accounted for, Commander. But there are warp disturbances emerging nearby. We will begin teleport extraction immediately.
You see, enemies are going to be coming through these rifts. I wasn't actually sure what the hell we were doing. I thought maybe we had to teleport through that. Because, of course, you know, Space Marines do use Lightning Strike to sort of teleport around. I have a teleport move. So I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if that was some Demon Hunter tech. But no, that's just the enemies come through those. It's purple, so you know it's bad. Probably. But anyway, I need to finish these guys off. You can see that statue there? Can be knocked over, which I don't do, sadly, because I was still struggling with how to actually trigger those things, even though the tutorial did cover it. But, you know, I'm an idiot, so there's that. So trying to work out where to get everyone else in. So I decided just to creep up a bit. And here, this is where I start re-exploring the teleport strike mechanic. And it didn't seem to trigger properly. You have to click on an enemy and then click where you want to, like, position where you want to land. You actually pick where you stand within range, so it takes a couple clicks. Which is nice. It means you can literally teleport into cover or something, because you can pick where you land, which spot around them you landed, which is very handy. I'm still considering what I'm going to do with them. Oh, also, it's worth mentioning. I mean, you probably noticed. Oh, there goes the statue. Could have pushed that on top of him. Shame. But anyway, you might have noticed. So down here you can see this is an interceptor, and the other characters have different classes as well. They all have different classes. I've not been able to have a look at sort of skill trees and things. I'm sure I probably could have been able to find it in the menu, but yeah, I didn't look through their skill trees or anything, which I regret. I wish I'd looked at that. But yeah, there are different classes available, which I'm sure you guys have noticed that all of my characters have slightly different strengths and weaknesses. The fact that we have one guy who's essentially a medic, you know, one guy who's in Terminator armor swinging a halberd around, like, there's obviously different flavors. Yeah, a bunch of cultists coming in. Warp Surge is active. Miasma of Frailty, Zone of Weakness appears for the next 3 turns. Okay, so that stink is what happened when this thing maxed out then. Good to know. See, we're learning, guys. We're learning together. So, getting into position, I'm going to set up some overwatches, because by the looks of it, they have to come in through these doors. And all I have to do, right now, objective to the top left, hold for extraction. That's it. So I have to survive a couple turns. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to set up a bunch of overwatches. Anything that comes in, I'm going to chop in half. And that's the plan. Something in Aegis Shield, he's in the front line. And I'll cover the big guy, so if they run for him, I can shoot them. If they run the other way, well, I don't have to, because they're not going for the big guy. And this is my Apothecary, you can see down there. Apothecary. Aegir Declan. So lots and lots of Overwatches. And we are currently plagued. I think that was from that lad who exploded. And here, I'm realizing they can actually pin me down with some missile fire there. So I wasn't quite sure what that weapon was about, if he's going to keep shooting that through the window or what. But I just assumed he wasn't going to do that and called it a day. You can see we are getting some Overwatches, people running into melee range and then trying to run out of melee range.
Our brother has fallen.
Oh, there's also some voice lines are a bit broken, so that was also not helpful. The fact that I could hear everything fine, but I couldn't see things very well. They would keep saying that their brother had fallen, and everyone was fine. That's been fixed, apparently. So don't worry about it. But that is persistent throughout this demo. Everyone telling me that my brothers have fallen. So yeah, again, just fantastic AoE melee attack. Really satisfying to use. And it really just promotes being aggressive, you know? The fact that he's got that Aegis shield as well. He's our Justicar, by the way. But the fact that he's got that Aegis shield that he can armor up, run into combat, and then, yeah, just kill like 6 people in a single swing is amazing. It's really fun. It just feels good to do that. Obviously against bigger, meatier, tougher targets, that's not going to do anything. You know, you're going to have to soften them up first. Or just do big single target DPS. But for just being able to literally cut through swathes of enemies, it's very satisfying. So here again, we just have to hold for another turn for extraction. I think there's one more guy out there, perhaps. So I just set it up, rather than go searching through that muck. And here, they keep trying to pin me. Rude.
Beginning teleportation.
And there we go. Mission complete. Victory! Huzzah! Good stuff. Alright guys, well, that was the first mission. Okay, there's 2 more missions I'm going to show you today. I say today. I'm not quite sure when I'm going to put the episodes out, but either way, there's 2 more as a result of this demo. So there's going to be mission 2, and then a boss battle, and that final cutscene will be in a final video. So stay tuned for that. So comment, like, subscribe, and I guess I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day, guys. Take care.